long time. You ready for it? All right. Get up on my lap. That's it. I'll put my arm around you. You put your arm around me. How about a story about a cow that jumped over the moon? Oh, no, I don't mean the old story. This is a brand new story about a cow that jumped over the moon. You ready? All right. Once upon a time, on a farm in Kansas, there lived a little cow, and her name was Isabel. All the other little cows in her pasture would walk quietly beside their mothers and watch the pretty butterflies and smell the pretty flowers. But not Isabella. She liked to run and frisk and kick up her heels and tell how she would jump right over the moon someday when she got big. Her favorite spot was the deep gully that ran along one side of the pasture. She would run and jump across it and have a wonderful time. Even when she missed the far bank and had to scramble up the side, she had fun. And when she slipped and landed in the muddy water at the bottom of the gully, she just laughed and went wading. Well, she was really a most unusual little cow. Her father, who was a model for a tobacco ad, he worried about her. He was afraid that she would turn into a tom cow. You will grow up to be a tom cow, he would say. Why don't you walk quietly with the other little cows and smell the pretty flowers? You'll get your pretty little coat all soiled. But Isabella would just toss her head. I like it better where there's room to stretch my legs and twitch my tail, she would say. Her mother saw that she was going to be a very pretty little cow, and she said that when she grew up, she would have to settle down fast enough. So she finally persuaded Isabella's father to let her cavort and run all she wanted to while she was young. Well, the months passed by, and Isabella grew prettier and prettier until her coat was a lovely jersey color, and her breath was as sweet as clover. All the other little cows who were growing up with her in the same pasture, they would take ladylike walks every day, smelling the pretty flowers and chewing their cuds in a slow, gentle way that was just beautiful to watch. They all hoped to grow up to be glamour cows like their Aunt Elsie, who lived in the city and had her picture in the magazine ads, and even got into Disney's cartoons and had a radio program. But not Isabella. Oh, no. She liked just to frisk and romp and twitch her tail and practice high jumps. Well, one day some men drove up in a long, shiny black car. They got out of the car and came over and looked at all the little cows. They were looking for one pretty enough to be in a movie with Aunt Elsie. All the little cows put on their softest expressions and walked carefully so they would not get cockleburs in their hair. Each one hoped the men would pick her, but not Isabella. Oh, no. She knew the men would not pick her. So she went frisking and romping around, twinkling her eyes and wiggling her ears. She felt so wonderful she even tried to whistle like the hired man. But it came out, ooh, so she gave that up. She went out to her gully and gave a big jump, expecting to go clear across and land on the other side. But her foot slipped, and down she went, bumping her head on a stone. Well, now, maybe you know how it feels to bump your head on a stone. You do, well, sure. It slows you down some, doesn't it? And that's just what it did to Isabella. She was very surprised. It was the first time the stone had ever been unkind to her, and she sat there looking at it with a hurt expression on her face and tears in her big, soft, brown eyes. She didn't even take the trail. She just sat. The movie men happened along just then, and they clapped their hands for joy. Here was the very cow they were looking for, a cow who was young and beautiful and quiet and thoughtful, a cow that could emote. So they loaded Isabella into the back end of the shiny black car and took her away from her pasture and put her into the cow shed at the picture studio in a great big city. Well, that was really some place. The floor was scrubbed and so shiny that Isabella could see her face when she looked down. The windows were warm and all the spider web swept away. It was very different from the barn at home, and there were pretty flowers blooming in boxes at all the windows. But Isabella had never cared to just smell flowers. People kept coming in to look at Isabella. First the director, who would tell her how to act. Then the cameraman, who would take her picture in Technicolor. And then all the other people who would be in the picture, and especially Aunt Elsie. Beautiful music was playing, and everything was very peaceful. They were all looking at one thing, and you can guess what that one thing was, can't you? Well, that's right. It was Isabella. They called her Isabella the Queen, and all the other picture cows were jealous of her and tried to stand close beside her. The director was careful to speak gently to her, and the cameraman was very cross with the man who left the bright light shining in her face while he was busy fixing some wires overhead. Isabella stood quietly in the spotlight, and she felt lonesome and stared at her. She tried staring back, but when she saw so many people looking at her, it made her bashful, and she had to look away. And then she looked down, and what do you think she saw? She saw herself staring at her from the shining floor. So she threw her head up and looked at the ceiling. Well, that did do it. You know what? She found a big, bright, round, yellow, full moon shining just above her. Suddenly Isabella was very happy and excited. She could see that here was a moon low enough for her to jump over at last, but just high enough to make her really try. She began to frisk and twitch her tail and frolic and romp all over the place, getting up steam. It was a small place, so a lot of people and things had to move fast to get stepped on. Some of them shouted, "Whoa!" Well, she didn't understand horse language, because Isabella didn't have horse sense. So she did not whoa, but kept on moving all around the place. Some of the people bumped into each other, and some bumped into the flower boxes, and they upset very easily. And it was full of dirt and flowers for the upset. But Isabella didn't care. She just kept snorting and prancing until she was practically flying. And then she jumped right over the moon. Oh, it was indeed a wonderful jump. Of course, when she got right over the moon, she became tangled up a little in some wires. But fortunately, they were the kind that would break or pull loose at one end or even both ends. So she got back down all right. Well, she didn't know anything about circuits and fuses, so she wasn't bothered like the men were. And she never had been afraid of the dark anyway. You know what she did? She just stood there waiting for the moon to come up again so she could jump over it again. What did they do with her? Oh, they took Isabella home. And for all I know, she's still frisking around and will keep right on frisking until her knees get stiff. Then I suppose she'll quietly chew her cud, and if she can get them to stand still and listen, she'll tell her little grand cows about the time that she actually jumped right over the moon, just like the cow in the nursery rhyme. Merry Christmas, Sue.